So I'm here today with Jay, who does the audiobook recording for Dead Awake. The first three books are out now. Jay, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you, Rob?
Yeah, I'm doing good too, thank you. It's our first time talking. We're going to talk a little bit about Dead Awake, a little bit about Jay's journey, and yeah, we're going to go from there. I know you do kind of modeling, acting, and voice work. What got you kind of into the creative industries to start with?
Well, like, there's a couple of different sparks, and it was like I wanted to be a million different things as a kid. I wanted to be an astronaut at one point, like a bunch of different, like, what do you want to be when you grow up kind of classes. And I was like, even when I was young, I just realized I didn't want to be bored. I
Yeah.
didn't want to do one thing for too long. But it was when I was about 12, and it was me and my best friend. I mean, we're hyperactive adults now, but we were hyperactive kids. And his mum just wanted us to kind of like be quiet for a bit. I think it was one of our birthdays, and she took us out to see The Lion King, which was really, really cool because like we didn't get to do a lot of stuff like that. But I was also looking around and seeing like people in like huge puppets and stilts and like all the drama of it all. And I thought,
Hmm.
oh, people can do this as like a job. They can do this and get paid.
Yeah.
I want to do this. Like, I want to do this as well. And like with like voice work specifically, it was always a bit of that. It was less of like a conscious thought, but I'd always grown up with like watching my brothers watch it and then watch it myself, like Dragon Ball, anime
Mhm.
in the wider sense, them quoting like Resident Evil lines to each other or something like that, and like all of these things about how vocal. I mean, like it's over 9,000 or stuff like that. How like vocal delivery like is like such a huge part of these things.
Yeah.
That was always just around me, and I
Okay.
just kind of like it sunk in that again, like early teens, probably like 15, where I was like, yeah, I really want to, I would love to voice act one day. And then a decade later, I actually got into it. But yeah,
Yeah, and I think that's kind of how it happens. I was the same. I didn't want to kind of be bored when I was younger. It's funny you mentioned Resident Evil because that was like the first horror film. I played the games a little bit when I was kind of like 10, I think maybe like 10 or 11. And then the film came out right around then. And that led me to kind of filmmaking and like photography and then writing. But similarly, I loved writing when I was younger, but didn't actually get round to it until kind of COVID. So
yeah,
yeah, I think everyone, all of us creative people, are kind of we have that ambition when we're young and just that interest in everything. And some of us pick up a few of those kind of skills. And
yeah,
it's also nice to speak to you that you kind of say that you still do different things. You're not stuck in kind of one box because that's kind of something that resonates with me too. So in terms of kind of from that place in your journey, how did you get kind of say your first voice acting job?
my first, I mean, technically, the
Hmm.
quick, cheeky one is my first voice acting job was we were in college. And they said the car dealership down the road wants to record an answer machine and they'll pay one of you £50 to do it. Who wants to do it? And I just put my hand up
Yeah,
first.
yeah,
So that was the
absolutely.
first thing on my CV as my first paid job.
Yeah.
But like, my first actual one, I was working at a nursery, and one of my colleagues was saying that she did voiceover work, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do more of that. I want to do like loads of that. So she put me in touch with her agent, and she's now an agent for like that I got Dead Awake through. She does a lot of like the audiobook work, and then
Great.
my there's another acting agent that does a lot of like video game stuff. And yeah, so I met Seema, and the first thing that happened was she was reached out to by HarperCollins,
Oh
and they
wow.
wanted to like find new voices, I think queer voices as well. So they're like, take a page or two of a book that you want to read and just read it to us on Zoom, and we'll go from there. So I read Stephen King's The Dark, like I read like the opening of The Dark Tower,
Okay,
or
yeah,
the
nice.
first book of The Dark Tower, and then yeah, they were like, that sounds cool. We like how you do the voices and this and that, blah blah. So I did a couple of kids' books with HarperCollins, and then I got a job through WF House. Like
Wow.
just
Yeah,
yeah, after building up the CV, then it just kind of rolled in to where we are today. I
that's
think that was
great.
only like maybe a year and a half ago, maybe two, no, maybe like 2 years ago.
Okay, cool. So it's like been like organic progression and like some good opportunities earlier that obviously you've kind of hopped on Zoom and shown your skills. So talking more about kind of the audiobook process, kind of still kind of broadly at the moment. Obviously, I write books. I don't have a voice for reading them. That's something I came to terms with like very early. I'm like, I can talk and I'm fine talking for socials and stuff, but this is my one voice, you know. There's nothing else in there.
One boy.
Um, but how much kind of preparation goes into kind of if you say you've got the project, say with the kids' books and then with Dead Awake recently, what does that kind of process look like from when you kind of delivered the manuscript?
For me, it was a lot of trial and error, and I've kind of found a process that works for me now. There was one book, a really long book, that I got to the end of before realizing one of the main characters had a Scottish accent,
Wow. Okay.
specifically a Scottish accent, and I had to re-edit the entire book.
Oh.
But like through that, I learned the importance of reading the book all the way through. So I do that, and then also because I'd say I'm like quite a character-ish actor with voice
Mhm.
and stuff like that. I like physical theater. I like big stuff. And even when it's toned down, I like to kind of find the characters and do like the classic kind of drama training thing of like, what do other people say about them? How are they described? Are they big? Are they small? What do they do later on in the book that are they nefarious? I mean, say in Dead Awake as well, with like a character like Rowan.
Mm.
If I voiced it as I went, I think he's an average Joe, and then I have to change it like in his second chapter, like things like that, where it's like you need to like I note the characters' names and have them on like a note thing, and maybe just give them an accent, give them a vocal tone to
Mhm.
start, and then see if at the end, then maybe they was someone else. See where the story takes them, and then plant those seeds in the earlier performances.
Yeah,
So
that's
like a lot of my thing is like finding what they sound like, finding how they talk, if and like especially if it's relevant, if maybe they have a way they say something that comes back later and stuff
mm,
like that, and like the regular stuff as well, like pronunciations. I always find, especially if it's like high fantasy books, I
yeah.
definitely want to find how do you want to say it, because I won't just like arrogantly think that I'll voice your entire series and every offshoot and every prequel. If you get another voiceover artist, I want to make sure that I've pronounced it like them,
Mhm.
or if you want it pronounced like that for the future, then I pronounce it like that, so you can have that continuity and things like that.
Hopping back before we get into Dead Awake kind of more deeply, you mentioned you read Stephen King on your Zoom call. Obviously, you've done three Dead Awake books so far, which are all horror genre.
Yeah.
What is it about horror that interests you the most?
One, the fact that I'm fucking horrified by it. Like I'm so because like my best friend, my brothers, they don't, or like even my partner as well. Like they're all people who love horror because they can consume it. They can take it by the bucket full, they love it, they can piece it apart, but they don't really jump that easily. But me, it's like I spoke about Resident Evil. The first game I
Mhm.
actually played all the way through was like 8, and I was horrified. I played
Okay.
9 with the lights off, and I played the first 2 hours with the lights off, and I turned the light on. It's
Yeah.
like I'm so easily scared that like I love horror because it evokes that in
In
me.
terms of subgenres, obviously Dead Awake is more kind of infected zombie vibes. Is there particular facets of horror or subgenres that you're very much drawn to?
There was a YouTube video I was watching on different kinds of zombies, and it
Hmm.
really stuck that one type, not like it's written doctrine, but they said like a general metaphor for zombies is like the slow zombie, the march of death
Hmm.
kind of thing, where there's one, and then there's 100, and then there's 200, and then no matter who you are, you can't fight it for that long, and it's always just a timer in zombie stories. Or not always, but in a lot of zombie stories, it's like a timer until you're in the shed and there's
Yeah.
now 5,000 of these bodies around you. And I
Yeah.
think that inevitability I've always liked. But also my personal favorite type of horror, especially like I want to go out and watch Obsession because of this as well, is like the fear of people.
Mm.
So like crippling fear of people with just a tiny bit of fantasy. Like
Yeah.
only a tiny bit, but other than that, it's the fear of seeing someone under a street light, and you don't know in the context of the wake if they're going to turn around and be covered in blood. You don't
Hmm.
know if they're going to be a normal person and they're going to have bad intentions. Like Hereditary so far is my favorite horror film because
Okay.
there's a sprinkle of the occult, but the actual horror comes from the fact of just people. Like all the shots of just someone turning around and looking directly over the character, like at the character from over their shoulder. Like that was horrifying. Or the
It's
scene,
just
this might
harrowing.
be
Yeah.
spoilers,
Yeah.
but it's been out for ages. But like the
Yeah.
scene of like the mum in the corner, and it's not stung. It's not a jump scare. It's just the idea of someone being there. Like I
Yeah.
remember, no, the other allegory that I think is a funny story. I was 18 working in a pub, and I had this really funny manager. We got along really well, and he grew up in a rough area in Ireland. And he said the
Okay.
scariest thing that ever happened to him was a man chasing him down the street with a syringe.
Oh, wow.
And it's like
Not a
that's the same
syringe.
feeling I get. That's the same thing I get from watching Hereditary of like, you don't know what this person's going to do. Like,
Yeah. Are
like
they
the
gonna,
scene of
what are they gonna pull
like I
out?
don't
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. But I remember I just finished reading the second book, Overrun,
Hmm.
of Dead Awake, and I was walking to pick up my partner, and she works in a studio. So I was going down a like a quiet road, and there was a bike shed and a car and a thin gap between. And I
Mm.
don't know if she dropped something or whatever. But I almost screamed in this woman's face out of fear because she like I think she was stooping down to get something, but she just popped up,
She just popped out like a jack in the
like
box.
just popped
Yeah.
into my field of view right next to me. And it's like that kind of horror I really like. The understated,
Yeah.
like the understand, and it's just in the shape of a person. It's nothing that crazy. It's nothing huge. It's just you don't know, like the not knowing of when you're walking with headphones in and someone is in your peripheral vision. You don't know if they're
Yeah.
talking to you or if they are. You don't know if you know them. It's just yeah, that I love that kind of horror.
So kind of hopping a little bit more into Dead Awake. What was your first impression kind of when you read the first book and has that changed across the first three?
I don't think it has changed, but in a positive way. But again, I said it before, but I'm just it's always this one time. But the way I got into Dead Awake was actually I very nearly almost didn't get an audition in on time because
Right.
we were going on holiday. And again, we don't on holiday a lot, so it was kind of a big deal. We were going to Japan for 2 weeks.
Mm.
So lovely. And I was kept debating back and forth, and I was like, should I take the microphone? Just in case, like just in case one comes through and we're like, yeah, maybe we should. My partner was like, maybe I want to make some music. Let's just take it. Let's just put it in a suitcase and look after it and take it. And then I got the Dead Awake thing through
Mm.
and I read it. We were in a hostel. So it was very tight hallways. You could hear there was one guy who was always coughing up phlegm in the other room. Like you could hear intimately what everyone was doing. And any door could open in the narrow hallways, and it was always really quiet.
Yeah.
So I finished reading the one book, obviously, horrified. And I'm walking down the things. I'm like, I feel like I can't even get to sleep. I need to
I
voice
love
this
that.
book.
And what a
I was like,
place to, what a place to read it.
literally,
Hopping into kind of more the characters and in particular, was there a particular character or a scene that you kind of most enjoyed performing or you remember most?
it was Charles.
Yeah.
It was Charles. Like I really liked his chapters. It was a lovely break of levity. The whole book it all seems really grounded. But
Okay.
like even his thing, it seems like I loved voicing the perspective of a character who chooses to be so kind. Like he's not kind. He's not stupid. He's not
Yeah.
sheltered. But
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
like every single page, it's like this man is choosing to be kind. His body, I mean, choosing to be like, no, I'm gonna go a little further. I'm committed to this, like this and that. Like it's really nice. I like stories about like ugly kindness as well. This
Mm.
might be a slight left caveat, but like different things of like a heroism, Invincible, My Hero Academia, of like what actually is like what is a heroic act. Rowan as well, because I like voicing a villain. I like voicing a villain that's like you can hear his fucking thoughts and how just
Yeah.
the disdain and everything. It's like, oh, again, it's very real. Like it's very
Yeah.
like it's not comically evil. There's just guys who will just have that inner monologue in their head.
And I think, yeah, thank you. And it's one of those things where I do a lot of outlining. Like I'm very much a planner. Like I'm very much
Yeah.
a plotter. I have to have everything kind of down ready before I kind of even start writing. So when I went to the characters specifically, I was like, I really don't want to make them too stereotypical. I want to make them uncomfortably real. And
Mm.
like some of the characters across the whole series, they do come across as just like insufferable. But we're also in like a zombie series, you know what I mean? And I think I try and think about what emotions I'd have in that moment and my less kind of presentable, curated emotions. What would I kind of be like at my raw energy, raw self? So I'm glad that kind of translates and comes through. And obviously with Dead Awake, that whole story is going to be continuing. There are another three books. Obviously, we've got to the halfway point right now. So do you have maybe, and this is a bit of a left field one, do you have any theories about what's going to happen, or do you have any feelings what you would like to happen?
I don't know. I wasn't thinking like a bomb situation. I don't think it'll be like a desolate nuclear wasteland.
Hmm.
But I think there's gonna be a harsher lockdown. There's gonna be harsher things in place. And I feel like it's gonna be a thing. Maybe this is selfish because I like when zombies devolve into this, where it becomes like a savanna, like it becomes
Mm.
like a wildlife space where it's just there is just a cluster of zombies who just roam at this time of day, and it
Nice.
becomes
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it like gets to its own weird system of like, okay, it's no longer running for my life everywhere. It's like that's the field where that happens. That's the
Mm.
neighborhood that's taken over. This is the safe part, things like that. I feel my theory is kind of dotted around. I definitely feel like the nightclub situation is not going to fucking last. I don't know what I feel about the actual facility, the actual the lab
Mm.
kind of site. What's going to happen there? I don't know.
Yeah,
I
that's
kind
some
of felt
interesting theories though. Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting to hear because obviously most people, if they've read the books, obviously they kind of read them straight through. So I don't kind of get like a point of view from the halfway point. especially from someone that's just familiar with the material.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads me onto my last zombie focused question. You know this outbreak and kind of the sleep mechanics of it, etc. Probably better than most because obviously you've spent a lot of time with the material. If you were in this zombie apocalypse in particular, do you think you'd survive for long? Like on my end, I think no. Like I'm really, really kind of not good with no sleep. So if I was bitten, that would be me. Like that would be me over.
Not to be morbid, but anytime I think about this zombie apocalypse, was like, well, we are getting familiar with suicide.
Really?
I'm cutting it off. I'm cutting it
You're
off.
not even going to go down that whole road
I'm
of
not even
like,
doing the free running apartment complexes and locking down Sainsbury's and shit.
yeah.
No, it
You'd like,
depends. Like obviously, who's alive? You know, if friends
mm,
and this and that, and we can find somewhere, that's fine. But if I'm just on my own roaming,
like I've had a good run.
I don't want to cut it off myself. But like, I might. I think the brightest answer I can give is I would like literally hermit.
Yeah.
Like not try and lock down, not try and find where. Literally turn into like a fucking what's like the smallest thing, like a mouse,
Yeah.
and just skitter around, find a little sandwich, find a little grass or whatever, and just mind my business. Not even until it blows over, just as long as that's the most optimistic I can be.
Yeah, I like that. There's something about like living in the present there. There's something about gratitude, having a little
Yeah,
rummage
grateful for
around,
every day
but you're
because
not
my
trying
God,
too
I could
hard.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not doing all that. I cannot do all that.
It's like, I'm surrendering right now. The universe will kind of let it go as it does. Right,
Literally.
yeah.
I
Well,
mean, it's a
that's
very
the plan then.
yeah. I remember it's very. I mean, it is very current. It is very like very real world. But I remember working as a waiter and looking on the TV and seeing like weird disease hits London, this and that. I thought, oh fuck. I remember locking down before lockdown was even a thing. I
Right.
literally said I said to my partner at the time, I was like, "Do you want to go to my mum's?" And
Yeah.
she was like, "Yeah." So we went there. I said to my job, like, "Listen, I don't feel comfortable being here. We just been in Venice. They've been putting scarves around their mouths. I might
Hmm.
need some time off." They said, "Okay." 1 week later, they were like, "Everyone go inside," and I was
Everyone's
like,
going,
"Fine."
yeah, yeah. You're like, I'm already
Maybe that
there.
kind of thing of like, nope, not doing it. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not
I'm
fighting
already
against it.
I'm already washing my groceries, so it's like
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
fine. Yeah. Oh, well, that's great. I do have one kind of final question, and that's what projects do you have coming up next? Whether that's kind of obviously in voice work, if it's acting, etc.
Yeah. You've caught me just after some bits have been done. I did like a little theatre festival, but
Oh,
in
nice.
terms of things going on now, I'm voicing a book called Parallel Hostilities about
Hmm.
the kind of mundane violence of British bureaucracy. It's very wordy, but
Yeah, yeah.
I'm getting through that. And that'll be on I'm doing it on like the ACX site, so I think it comes out on Audible.
Right. Okay.
I'm not sure when. I think maybe
Hmm.
in like autumn. Other than that, not much. Just in flux now, doing little odd jobs here and there, but nothing big.
Yeah. But that no, that's great. And actually I'm kind of similar. Like we've done a lot of projects, a lot of things. I'm kind of taking a step back, doing a bit more socials, stuff like that. So yeah, I think we've earned a break. You've certainly earned a break.
Yeah.
And obviously when Dead Awake comes around again, we'll be ready to finish off that series.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, I just want to say obviously thank you to you for your time today. Thank you to WF House for setting this up and for letting this relationship like be so easy. Like
Yeah.
I said before, as soon as I heard your audition tape, I was like, absolutely. Like I was looking for something specific. I couldn't put that into words, but the team did such a good job. So I'm glad that yeah, it all brought us together. And best of luck with all your projects, and we will talk soon.
Thank you. Speak soon,
Thank
and
you.
yeah, shout out WF House.
Yes. Thank you.